So if you're in your 50s or you're getting pretty close to it, chances are you're thinking a lot more about your financial future and retirement more so than you have in your 40s and even your 30s. And the question of how much net worth should you have in your 50s is probably popping in your head. Now, I know there's a ton of videos about this very topic on YouTube, but I have a completely different angle and perspective and show you why net worth from a practical angle doesn't technically matter at the end of the day after what I'm gonna show you. With that said, my name is Sam Kwok, one half of the Kwok Brothers, serial entrepreneur, investor, and I also own a financial services firm to help homeowners and American families make better decisions when it comes to their finances. And just like what I mentioned today, we're gonna answer that question of how much net worth should you have in your 50s, but it's not what you might think. So let's go and dive right in and define what even is net worth to begin with. And I see a lot of people get this wrong. Your net worth is not the same thing as your income. So if you're making $100,000 a year, it doesn't mean that your net worth is $100,000. Your net worth is defined and calculated by how much you have in terms of your asset minus your liabilities, what you owe, equals your net worth. So let's just say you have $2 million worth of assets, real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, equity, whatever the case might be, and you have $1 million of debt, right? Mortgage, student loans, whatever the case might be. 2 million in asset minus 1 million in liability equals $1 million of net worth. And basically that is how you calculate net worth in a simplest term. Another way to basically put it is what you own minus what you owe equals basically your net worth. And chances are you've already watched or will watch a video that will go into the nuance of the net worth definition of asset versus liability. So I won't get any deeper than that. But at the end of the day, why does net worth matter from a practical term that relates best to our personal finances? Well, let's just say you have $1 million worth of asset you own and you have zero liability, just to illustrate a point. And with that asset, let's say you're able to invest that into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, you name it, and it generates an annual average of 5% return. Now, $1 million, the 5% return on investment, now that ultimately equals to $50,000 of income. And it's with that $50,000 as what you basically get to fund your lifestyle, your expenses, all the things you need to take care of your life. But with a different illustration or example, let's say we maintain that 5% return on investment, but rather now we have, let's say, $2 million of an asset. Well, now we have $100,000 of annual income generated by our investments, which $100,000 is a respectable number to basically retire on. So as you can see, why is net worth even important? Well, the more asset you have and the return you get from that asset obviously means that you have a source of income that is generated so that you can fund your lifestyle without having that income be tied to a specific time investment that you make, say a 40 hours a week job. So the whole idea to the average person is that we want to take advantage of savings and company matching to invest in our 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, so that it grows to $1 million, $2 million, or even $3 million in terms of your 401k, IRA investments, so that when you're 59 and a half, you can start making distributions from your retirement accounts that can be used for income, and thus you no longer have to rely on a job income to sustain yourself. But here's why I say that net worth technically doesn't matter, and that is, well, if the whole point of having net worth is so that you can have income to sustain yourself, then why not focus on generating or acquiring source of incomes that are basically near passive in the sense that you don't have to put 40, 50, 60 hours every single week. So instead of focusing on the accumulation of net worth just for the sake of accumulating net worth, why not focus on acquiring and optimize for getting more income that is nearly passive through sources like real estate or dividend stocks or even private businesses that you can own a large share of to basically collect distributions for your income. And my personal opinion is that by focusing on creating income that is nearly passive or totally passive income, then your net worth will follow that number. Because a lot of time, the value of an asset has to do with how much income it can generate as well as what it can sell for in the future. So the more income can be generated from a given asset, the more valuable the asset becomes. So going back to the ultimate question of how much net worth should you have? $1 million? Is it $2 million? Is it $5 million because your next door neighbor has it? Well, I think all of these numbers are very arbitrary and they don't really mean anything. The better question to ask is, well, what amount in terms of asset do you need that could replace your current income? So if you're making $150,000 a year right now with your job, well, we certainly don't want to end up having an asset that only generates $50,000 of income. That means you would have to totally downsize into a third of your current living situation. So the number that you should decide for yourself is, well, how much of an asset do I need that will perform at a nominal level to then ultimately replace your job income. So my personal philosophy is if you're making $150,000 a year right now with your current job income, the question then becomes, well, what kind of income sources can I buy? What assets can I buy that would essentially replace my $150,000 a year job with a near passive income? So right now, you should already have an asset that generates that money for you, or you should already have a plan that you're executing, that you're working, that would eventually will allow you to completely replace your current job income with an income that's generated by an asset passively for you, or nearly passive. And that's probably the measuring stick that I would use to measure myself and my progress in terms of how well am I doing in my 50s. So really, the net worth amount is driven by how much income do you need every single year. Net worth, I truly think, is more of a vanity metrics, right? It's a cool bragging right. Yes, you can go around saying, yes, I have $4 million, $5 million of net worth. I mean, you can't go and eat a piece of stock or a mutual fund. It actually has to do something for you that actually puts food on your table. Now, my personal favorite way of acquiring assets that generate near passive income is through real estate. I personally love buy and hold rental property real estate. I know if I can go buy a 50 or 100 unit apartment building that generates $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 of cash flow, well, there you go. For me, in my situation, that would be plenty to sustain my lifestyle, my living expenses, and putting food on the table for my family. And of course, there are other ways to generate near passive income through, like a high yield savings account or a dividend paying stocks, or you have bond. There are other many ways. I just happen to like real estate because there are many creative functions and what I can do, such as leveraging financing with real estate. So I can buy real estate with financing, whether it could be creative financing, owner financing, or bank financing. Of course, then the rental income will then pay down the financing over time. There's tax benefits of owning real estate. So there's a ton of different multifaceted benefits of owning real estate. And this video isn't meant to be a promotion or try to force you guys into buying something or investing into something. It's just my favorite way of doing it, and it's working great for me. And I know a lot of people are also benefiting from real estate for their own financial needs and for their situation, but it is something that you can consider. Another thing you can consider is owning private businesses. Similar to real estate, you can buy businesses using seller financing, owner financing, creative financing, bank financing. And a lot of people don't actually know this, but you can take certain qualifying 401ks and IRAs and invest into private companies. So you don't have to necessarily invest into a stock exchange, public companies. There are ways of investing and buying private companies using your retirement funds that obviously pay out distributions and profit, etc. I'll make a separate video about that. But the point of this video is to help you shift your focus a little bit, or at least consider a different way of thinking about how to better prepare for retirement, especially if the goal is not to be a billionaire, right? I think for most of us, we just want to have a consistent, steady, safe source of income coming in without having to put in 10, 20, 30, 40 hours of work every week, or having to take on a second job, or being forced to work beyond your retirement age or desired retirement age that you have. Now, when it comes to debt, I do believe that in your 50s, you should have zero personal debt, okay? No more car loans, no more mortgages, no more credit cards, unless obviously you're paying them off every single month and taking advantage of the points and cash back. We're totally cool with that. So if you're in your 50s and you still have personal debt that you're working on, I would heavily focus on paying those down. Because right now, the biggest thing for you is to limit or minimize the risk of potentially getting wiped out. We need to minimize that. So my personal opinion, I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but my opinion is that if you're in your 50s, you should have zero personal debt. Now, if you have financing tied to a certain asset, say buying a private business or real estate, then I do believe, my personal opinion is that some debt is appropriate at certain points of time to buy certain types of assets. But when it comes to your personal debt, I do believe that you should be at zero or being close to zero when it comes to your personal debt balance. So what do you do if you're either at your net worth goal or maybe you're falling behind? Well, first of all, if you're at your net worth goal, congratulations, you've done the right things. Clearly, you made the right choices along the way. And at this point, if you are at the net worth that you want, this is where you want to start having the right team in place to protect what you built, minimize the risk as much as possible, having the right CPA, the right estate attorney, the right asset protection attorney. You want to make sure you have the right professionals around you that will give you sound advice as well as recommendation to continue preserving your net worth as well as minimizing the risk as much as possible. Knowing that you've minimized a lot of risk in case your income is wiped away or you lose your job, some catastrophe could happen and you don't want to get wiped out, and that could set you further back. So minimizing some risk, especially in your 50s, I believe is going to be a healthy choice, and therefore getting rid of all personal debt if possible. Now, for a few of you, a small number of you, because I know most of you watching this have really well-established career, you're getting paid well, and maybe you're at the top or at the peak and you'll continue to grow as far as where you're at when it comes to your career. But for very few of you, small number of you, and if I'm being honest and real, may have income production issues or income production problems, meaning that you're in the wrong opportunity, you have the wrong job, you're getting underpaid. And I know this may sound harsh and cold, but maybe you do lack the skill or the personal growth that is ultimately the barrier as to why you're not making the money that you want to. Now, again, this will only apply to a very few of you, but I'm being dead honest. Occasionally and rarely, I do see this as the problem as to why they're not being able to pay off their debts and being able to fund their retirement and investment. It could be a issue. And again, I'm just being honest and real, and I think this is the best way I can love you guys is being honest. The other variables that could be holding you back could be money psychology, meaning that you're making good money, but you always feel like you're running out, you're paycheck to paycheck, and you feel like there's just not enough to do. Now, in this situation, I mainly see two main scenarios. The first one is that you're truly paycheck to paycheck, meaning that your expenses are really high, you're barely making ends meet. Now, the other side of the paycheck to paycheck is that you actually are not paycheck to paycheck, you're actually making more money than what you actually need, but because of this extra money that you have in your bank account, you're thinking, oh, I can go shopping, I can go eat out, I can go watch more movies and spend more money. So in that category of paycheck to paycheck, those types of people generally don't have a plan, or at least not intentional about what they're gonna do with their money. In either category, I suggest to start tracking how much money is coming in and how much money is going out, and actually being intentional about measuring your money. And Dave Ramsey is spot on when he said this, and that is 80% of your money success comes down to psychology, comes down to behavior. Basically, your mindset and the relationship that you have with money. 20% of success in money comes to tactics and strategies. So you could have all these strategies and tactics to make your money work, but if 80%, your mindset, your relationship, and your intentionality of your relationship with money is not there, it's gonna be very difficult for you to succeed, or at least be harder for you to achieve your financial goals. So all that to say, if you don't have the basic financial discipline of knowing how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, being very intentional about where you're spending the money, and making clear-cut decisions on when and how you're gonna spend it, this is super duper important. And I truly believe that discipline equals freedom. If you wanna have a nice, healthy, fit body, well, you're gonna need some discipline to go work out and exercise and maybe do some calorie counting to have the freedom of a healthier body. Same thing applies to money. If you want to have freedom when it comes to money and being able to have a peace of mind and confidence and ultimately influence over your finances, so no matter what, you're gonna need discipline in all aspects of life, whether it's your health, your wealth, your spiritual growth, your relationship growth, right? If you wanna have a positive, healthy relationship with your spouse or a partner, obviously you're gonna need the discipline to not cheat on them and not be unfaithful, right? All those things apply in pretty much all aspects of life if you wanna grow it. So having said that, I hope this video gave you a couple different angles of A, why doesn't net worth really technically matter from a practical sense for most people, right? And then number two, if you're falling behind, I gave you guys some tips, and I shared a little bit about my journey and what I'm doing, my personal favorite for my financial goals in terms of net worth and passive income that I'm generating myself. Could be completely different for you. So don't take it as me trying to tell you that this is what you need to do, but rather go figure out for yourself on what you need to accomplish for your financial needs. And of course, I shared a little bit about what to do if you're already ahead of your goals, and for those that are behind or falling behind and need help, just with the awareness of what to do, then I hope this video gave you some ideas. And the very fact that you're watching this video means that you're searching for answers and you're learning, you wanna grow, which is awesome. And as someone who's in the financial industry, I see a lot of people who just wanna bury their heads in the sand and pretend none of this is happening, that there's no problem. But unfortunately, it's not until their 50s and 60s and even 70s that they realize, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time and my finances are out of control. But the very fact that you guys are seeking, you're learning, you're growing, and you're watching videos tells me that you absolutely do care about your finances and you're definitely making the right move. And I'll end this video by saying that I think Warren Buffett said it the best. I think it was either Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett said that education pays the biggest dividends. And the fact that you guys are getting educated on YouTube or whatever courses you're taking with finances, I truly believe that it will pay dividend either now or later. You guys are making the right steps. So major props and bravo to you guys for watching videos and seeking out answers, which is exactly what I recommend and suggest for anyone that wants to make their financial situation better, is to get educated. Your financial health is an indication of what goes on here. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new today. And if you did, consider subscribing and liking this video and share your thoughts down below. And if you wanna see other videos from us, please let me know, give us ideas, because I'd be more than happy to make those videos for you guys. All right, with that said, we'll see you in the next video.